Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and I wanted to talk about something that started the year off. We had LFG in WWE, and it was a very interesting concept when they started it because they were bringing it back from like the Tough Enough days. And I was completely invested in the first season. I'll be honest, I didn't catch much of the second season, so I'm gonna have to catch up on that at some point, probably in the next couple weeks, because I still did want to watch it. It just happened. So the first season has been done, and a lot of people have kind of shifted into certain areas, and some people ended up on season two. So a little bit of like maybe they're in a little bit better spot. But so some of this might be not the perfect fit, and we'll have to reinvest it when we do a season two review. But I wanted to do season one, so we're gonna go over everybody and put them in S tier if they obviously have taken this and took off, and towards D tier if it ended up in release or just kind of nothing. So we'll put C tier as kind of like, hey, they ended up in LFG season two, but they haven't had anything else since then. And then yeah, so we'll start off with Braden Ray, which was his sexy BJ Ray or whatever. I know he was on season two. I'm gonna put him in C. Obviously, still with the company at least. No, wait, didn't he get released actually? No, I do actually believe that he was part of the releases. I do got to put him down there. Then we had Zeta Sterling. Now, I guess I'd put her in that solid B area because, like, she's had a match on Evolve, so she's definitely, like, looking like she's going to, kind of have a little bit of momentum. I think she ended up in second place this last season. It was the last season. Yeah, it was last season. She's been in there and talks about like it seems like she has that look and that feel that they want to do. Her first match in Evolve wasn't the greatest, but I mean, at least it was a match, kind of like some other people did. Then we had Tatiana. She's still on the roster, still in the PC, but hasn't had anything else happen with her. So kind of unfortunate, but we'll put her in C. I think she was on season two also, but didn't get any other type of push from like that. Then we have Chris Island, another one that I think just kind of is a PC athlete right now, and probably will end up being on season three if they just keep using other people, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. Season three, I think, is going to have Kevin Owens and who was the other person? Now that I can't remember who it was. But they're gonna have some new judges. I don't know if they're replacing some of the other people or they're rotating or something, but maybe that'll change up a few things. So I'll put him in C also. Elijah Holyfield, I don't believe was released, and I think it's still kind of in that vortex of, you know, hasn't had much on TV, and it's kind of unfortunate. He kind of had a good feel, but I think the wrestling was still kind of getting there. Shiloh Hill, I do believe won season two because he is now debuted in NXT. He just had his first match against Lexis King. He kind of has a weird dark web hacker gimmick. I going to say I'm going to put this in A. I do think with him getting the backing and kind of like even just the advertisement of the Undertaker talking about him, I do think he's poised for a certain, I think a certain type of like push, but I don't really know how well it's going to go. So I think A is a solid way to put it. It's a little too soon to know, but I don't think it's the worst. Anthony Luke had a solid showing in this season and then a solid showing in the second season. He's had some other outside work. He just recently was helping with ISHO Speed's training. Him, Randy Orton were like in the background and stuff. So I think he's a little bit better off than other people, but he still hasn't really got that he's on the roster fade. But I do think that he's poised to do something in season three if he's there or just in this year in general. Then we had Little. I'm gonna call it Gentala because that's what she did. She got a solid second place, I think, in this season, and she ended up in Evolve. Had a couple matches, I want to say four, and then she just got released. Unfortunately, she had a good look to her, and I think her wrestling was really starting to get there. I just think they didn't give enough time for her, so that was kind of unfortunate. Then we had season one winner Jasper Troy. He went up into NXT, had some very high level feuds compared to Tyler May still on the opposite side, and it's now a speed champion. I think it's not a great championship to put him in at the moment, but I think at least he has a championship is still better than a lot of other people here. So I'm going to put him up in S tier. He is the person that you would want to look at that program and see how he goes. Obviously, going into year two of all of this, we can kind of see what happens. I still think he's in a poised position to do something, especially with Booker T being his former mentor. If he really holds on to that, and Booker is still a commentary person, wouldn't be surprised if he tries to help him. Plus, Jasper Troy has shown up on Booker T's programming, so at least he has somewhere to go if worse comes to worse. Troy Yearwood unfortunately got released. He had a pretty solid Evolve gimmick. He was, tagging with Skull, and they were like muscle heads. I don't think it was that big of a deal, like or a bad fan. I think it really was working for them, but it just didn't end up, resonating, I guess, with the upper people for WWE. Next up is Tyra May Steele. I've actually seen her more on Booker T's Reality of Wrestling than in the WWE ring. She's had some pretty good showings over there. Went into their women's championship tournament very recently, like 3 days ago. She's just had a few matches over there. She has a good look to her. I think they're just kind of stuck what to do with her. She likes to try to play as a baby face, and I think like part of her could be a really good heel. I just don't think she's done either one because she's just kind of stuck in between that. And she did win this season, and I just don't think she got the same push. She got basically really bad match in NXT, sent down to Evolve, kind of had some red hot feuds down there to like really do something. And then when they really wanted to start using her, they moved her back to NXT, and it just didn't really work out for her. So I'm going to put her in A for the time being because she is still getting showings, but for Evolve, like if she's not on there anymore, we haven't seen her on NXT in a little bit, I think she could definitely be sliding if we don't see her. Then we have Litton. I think she's still in the PC. I don't think she got released. Drake Monroe just had his Evolve debut this week. I think they really could have done something interesting with his character in Adam with the PC team or whatever. I was gonna say heels, but like I guess that team is heels. He could have definitely been one of those people where they recruited, been part of their like kind of 3-man thing, and eventually take over as being like maybe the number one guy over in that group. They could have really done something with this faction, like making it a faction, but they didn't, and I think that's kind of going to be the draw. I'll put him in B. I mean, obviously it's only one match. I mean, Zeta Sterling's also with that, just having the one match under her belt. So I think B is a pretty solid place. Then we have Danny. I think she turned to Danny Sky or Skylar Rain. What is it? It's something with Sky in it. Not necessarily bad gimmick. I think she won season 2, got the NXT contract. She's had one match up there. Wasn't anything special, but it's starting. Maybe that next year she'll do it. I'll put it in A. Bailey Humphrey hasn't really gotten any matches on the main roster or anything, so I'll put her in C. And then P Nasty is a fairly decent player on Evolve, but she hasn't had anything else since her little bit of a push, so hopefully that's not the end of it. But this is probably the best way of putting lists. I mean, obviously, it's been a pretty solid thing so far for them, and if you put Colton James also, it's Colton James? The one that's in Dark State, he started on the show, it was like in the middle of it. I think he's probably having the best out of everybody being part of a big faction in NXT and doing stuff. So I think like, the rest of them are still doing. I think anybody in B and higher is still in a pretty solid spot. Everybody in C, obviously, if they're going to return for a third season, is not necessarily a good or bad thing, but hopefully they get it together to get a prime of 2026. And until next time, this has been Japan. Bye, guys.